Welcome to NAFA's Advisor Today podcast series, where we focus on how financial advisors work, live, and give to their local communities and our greater financial services industry. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi, this is Chris Gandy, your co-host of Advisor Today's podcast, where we feature the top leaders in insurance and financial services. My co-host, Suzanne Carawan, is here with us today, and we have a wonderful guest, Kevin Mayeux, joining us today.
So since it's September and we're all very aware that it's Life Insurance Awareness Month, we wanted to give a big shout out to Life Happens, a very close partner to NAFA, and obviously they handle our consumer side. And what's great about this month is that we're not only participating in LIAM, but we're also making sure that everybody knows about LIAM, knows about NAFA members and the additional benefit they get. If you sign up for Life Happens Pro, which is their marketing automation software, NAFA members get a substantial discount. So we want to say happy LIAM to everyone. And again, thank you, Life Happens, and all the work you do.
Awesome. So, Suzanne, thank you for that wonderful sponsorship message. And as we get into today's conversation, before we get going, we just want to say a special thanks to NAFA for allowing us to be able to interview Kevin Mayeux today. And so, Kevin, without any further ado, I'm sure people have heard your name before. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for NAFA specifically?
All right. Yeah, sure. Thanks again for having me here today. My name is Kevin Mayeux. I have the privilege of serving as NAFA's Chief Executive Officer, a role that I've held for a little more than 7 years. And as the CEO, my responsibility is to manage our headquarters, make sure we're delivering high quality member services to our members from coast to coast all around this great country, to help work in collaboration with the board and setting the strategic direction for the organization. And then again, just basically delivering value and helping every NAFA member be incredibly impactful as an advisor so they can better serve their clients and hence the American society. And so I'm privileged to work for all of you out there that are NAFA members. And of course, also for you, Chris, as a member of our board of trustees.
Awesome. So Kevin, let's get into the weeds a little bit, shall we? So NAFA has, you've been at the helm, and NAFA's gone through some amazing changes in the past, call it 4 or 5 years. In doing so, kind of what are some of the things that you've seen that really where NAFA is going and you're proud to be a part of? Can you comment on just at least one of those things or two of those things that have really made it really exciting for you?
Yeah, sure. So NAFA has, as you said, gone through a lot of changes over the past several years. And I think the first big leap that we took there was we got together a great cross-section of our NAFA members, young advisors, more tenured advisors, people that were serving in communities all across this country, folks that had been volunteers for years in different practice specialties, and folks that were newer to the organization. And we kind of re-envisioned what we were as a professional association and where we needed to head. And this group came up with a strategic plan called NAFA 2020. And what that did was it said, hey, listen, we need to be highly impactful. And we need to do that by basically growing our membership size, delivering better services to our members, and then again, being reflective of where society is heading and making sure that our members can operate in an environment where they can best serve their clients. And then we went through, as that plan was adopted by our membership several years ago, we went through a process of changing and evolving NAFA to meet what that new strategic plan said. And with that, we went from having about 700 or so different associations out there that all were labeled NAFA, and they all did great work, but they didn't necessarily all communicate with each other very well. And sometimes were a little bit out of alignment on what they offered and when they offered it, and sometimes even their policy positions on issues, to basically be one streamlined association with 50 strong state chapters out there and with about 35 strong metropolitan chapters out there that are really making a difference and all moving in the same direction and all geared around, again, helping our members be the best possible advisor that they can be. And that's been quite a change in our structure. We took us about 125 plus years to get there to make that change, but we did. And with that, NAFA is now firing on all cylinders. And I think we're proving to the industry that we're indispensable to the industry success. And hopefully we're proving to more and more advisors that were indispensable to their personal success, and encouraging them all to join and be part of our association.
Now,
Wow.
so I want to stop there for a second because Kevin, since I actually get the privilege of working for Kevin, I think that was an incredibly humble explanation, because I think everybody out there needs to know that the vote took place in May of 2018, right? And we had 700 different legal and financial entities. And 6 months later, that thing was streamlined. So how did you do it, Kevin? How did you get enough of the buy-in? Just the volume of moving from a federation to this professional streamlined model. Any comments on that? Because it's incredible. I mean, I had the privilege of being here to witness it and go through that, right? But I mean, the actual speed in which we did it, incredible.
Well, I mean, Suzanne, as you know, because you were part of it, what we did was we communicated with our members and we were transparent. And we allowed people to give input and to make sure that their input was taken into account. We had a number of town hall sessions virtually and around the country where we solicited feedback from our members about what do you want and how do we get there. And then when we developed a plan, we brought it out and we shopped it with them. And we asked for them to comment and ask them how we can make it better. And I think that degree of transparency and trying to solicit input from our membership across the country helped the buy-in occur. And then with that, like everything else, change is a painful process sometimes. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to overcome inertia and to get that flywheel spinning, as they talked about in the book, Good to Great. But I think we're doing that now. And I think with that, the results are coming in. I mean, you've seen the fact that, we went from after the Department of Labor put in place that fiduciary rule, which was onerous and was a poor way to serve the American people. We fought to have that invalidated by the courts. But then after that, we said we've got to have a solution because the suitability model wasn't quite working anymore with a lot of policymakers. So we worked with the ACLI, the NAIC, the SEC, and others to develop this best interest model, which then the SEC adopted, and then the NAIC put in place as its kind of model for what the country should do. And we've now had, as of the date of this broadcast, 28 different states adopt that. And that's something that would not have happened but for NAIFA's leadership. And so I think our new model is producing results. But like everything else, it takes a lot of effort from a lot of people, volunteers and staff alike, to see change take place. But I'm grateful that our folks have been on the same page, bought in, and now we're all rowing in the same direction.
So, Kevin, let me ask a question. You mentioned a lot of great stats there, and everyone should take note of that. When you start to think about this association of where we are today, how do individuals leverage or take advantage of some of the benefits that are being a part of this aligned? You mentioned a couple words: alignment and one. And coming from the sports world, many of you know I'm a recovering athlete, is that everybody wants to be number one. And then a team that is succinct and can execute can get things done. So with that being said, how do I plug into, on the outside looking in, how do I plug in? I know NAFA is doing great things. How do I plug into the good stuff, some of the things that you guys are doing? And then how does that help me in my practice?
Okay. So first of all, if you're not a member of NAFA, the first thing you do is join. Every advisor out there should be part of this professional association because the association itself does so much to elevate the opportunity for advisors to be successful, to help make sure the policymakers understand the incredible value of the products and services that our advisors offer, what that does for the American people, et cetera. So for every advisor out there that's not a member, step number one, join. Step number two, once you're in, familiarize yourself with the resources that we have available. There's a ton of things that are available on demand on our website that all of our members can access at every time. But candidly, to me, even more important is the ability to network with NAFA members in your community, to draw those connections, to be able to bounce ideas off of peers and colleagues that have done the same kind of thing that you're doing, but maybe their experience can help you avoid some pitfalls and can help you build on the best practices that they've built so you can be even more successful as an advisor. And then third, I would say, if you're really going to get in the trenches, I'd say there's two different threes, 3A and 3A1. And that would be get involved in our advocacy program and help out at the state level and help out at the federal level so policymakers understand the real impacts of the policies that they're considering and what that does on constituents back in their district. the clients that you serve. And then second, I would say if you really want to make an even better difference, volunteer. We've got tons of opportunities for our members to be involved at the local level, at the state level, through one of our centers or on a committee. So figure out what kind of fires your professional jets and get involved at that level and help out and roll up your sleeves. Because in a big family like NAFA, we can always use more people that are helping us do more good work. And there's plenty of opportunities for every advisor, and no matter where she or he is in their career path, to get involved and to make a difference. And I think you'll find, and Chris, you can attest to this as a member and as a very engaged volunteer, that it helps you produce better. And it also brings more professional satisfaction because you're working with peers and colleagues that are like-minded and want to see this profession continue to add value to society.
Awesome. So Kevin, I got involved a long time ago. I think I started the business in '99, and I remember having the NAFA lunches that they used to have. We used to come together locally every Monday. And this was the lunch of champions, right? This was the lunch where my mentor said, this is where you go if you want to learn how to be great at this. So, of course, a young aspirant like myself, I'm saying, I'm going every week. He goes, here's the deal. Meet as many people as you possibly can, ask a lot of questions, and be a sponge. That's what you need to be. So as a young advisor, let's shift gears. The future of NAFA are people that have either just joined or they're not even here yet. Mm-hmm. So what are the benefits? Why would a new advisor, what is the opportunity for a new advisor? Why would I want to get involved in NAFA so early? Why not just wait? Why would I wait till I've made it already?
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple of thoughts for a new advisor. One, this industry, as you know, the learning curve is steep, and many people, in order to get a solid footing, you have to build a solid client base, and many of them, it takes too long to build it, and then they don't wind up being successful. And the vast majority, 85% of advisors drop out of this profession in their first 5 years. NAFA can help increase the likelihood that a new advisor will be successful. We've had companies out there that have done internal studies, and they've looked at advisors similarly situated in their career path, year 1, year 3, et cetera. And they have found that on average, NAFA members produce 42% more than non-NAFA members. So I think just economically, that's a huge incentive. But on top of it, again, it's learning from your peers. It's figuring out, what works well and finding out tips and tricks and how to do things better so you can better optimize your chances of success. We have incredible programs out there like the LUTCF program, which can teach you basic sales skills that can help make you much more successful as an advisor earlier in your career. And then with that, build a more solid client base and then be able to truly make it in this profession. So getting involved early enhances your chances of success and will also help you earn more money, which are two important things for every advisor.
Yeah. And I think it's a cultural thing because I know, Chris, I've heard it from you, back to you kind of bringing up the team concept, but the culture part too of NAFA, of kind of being in that community is that if you know your peer over there knows you're struggling and you tell them, hey, I need some help, NAFA members are like, we're not going to let you fail, period. Like that's just failure is not an option once you come into that NAFA network, right? So I think there is kind of that element of teamwork and having, people that put pressure on each other, right? To the accountability piece and to kind of keep trying to ratchet up the competition and the performance. So I think that's another kind of interesting part about NAFA that I've never seen in it. I think it's a very different nuance from an association standpoint. I mean, Kevin, you've been the head of many a different type of association. Is that something that's true? Do you find that to be unique to NAFA?
I find it to be much more pronounced in NAFA than in many other groups. And I think you're totally spot on there, Suzanne, because it's creating a community, but it's also NAFA to so many of our members is more like a family. And, while occasionally you have a little scuffle with a family member every now and then, you really love your family and you want to see everybody in your family be successful. And I think that's what kind of binds together tons of NAFA members from all across this country, because they view this as not just an opportunity to learn and grow as a professional, but again, it's also a family of good people that you can rely on that can help you be better as a person and be better as an advisor. And I think that's one of the things that makes this association so special.
Kevin, let's get into we've got about 20 minutes, and I really want our followers or who's out there listening to kind of get to know Kevin, right? And I mean, Kevin, you're a unique person. I know most people don't get a chance to really talk to CEOs. And if we just take a look at who you are, what are some of the things, when you let your hair down and you're not running this big, massive organization and you're not a part of thought leadership, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, wow. That's a dangerous question. So I really enjoy traveling. I really enjoy sporting events and concerts. And I also enjoy getting involved in my community, so in Florida, I'm a native Floridian, and I've been blessed to have worked in multiple places all over the country, the Midwest and the East Coast. And again, like Suzanne said, this is my fourth association that I've been in a leadership role in. But I like to, like you said, put my hair down to the extent that I've got any of it anymore, and just have a good time. Being able to go to a city and meet up with a friend and be able to go catch a Gator football game or a Colts game or a Buccaneers game or a Nationals game or something like that is just something that really, really gets me excited. And one of the great things about being involved, like we talked about the NAFA family, is you can have friends everywhere because we've got our members located in every community across this great country. So I do that. I enjoy boats and sailing. I've got a young, well, not young, he's 11 years old now, a little dog named Maximus. And he's a ton of fun. And I enjoy spending time with family and friends. And then, on the professional side, I dabble in a few small ventures, including some stuff out in Hollywood, which is kind of fun to go out there and see what's happening out on the West Coast.
Kevin Mayeux, the superstar. So
yes,
you mentioned
Renaissance.
You mentioned he's the Renaissance man. So Kevin, you mentioned leadership. I want to tap into your mindset on leadership, because I believe leadership's so important, right? And we lead by example and we bring some other people with us, but being thought leaders. So give me some comments. If you have other people, specifically people sitting in the chairs thinking about they want to lead a local organization or they would like to be a part of the state leadership, give us some thoughts around what do you think it takes to be a leader?
No, that's a really good question. I think what it takes is being genuine. I think what it takes is putting the organization and its members and its interests above yourself. In many cases, I think it's being transparent. I think a lot of folks, when they kind of have in the back of their mind, I'd like to be a leader in my organization, and they struggle with how to do it. I think the first step is you raise your hand and you say, I'd like to help, because most organizations are eager to have some fresh blood get involved and to do something. And so if that's at inside NAFA, if that's at a local chapter or local affiliate, it's saying, hey, I'd love to help do something. And maybe you can help produce one of those weekly meetings or monthly gatherings or something. You can be the catalyst to make it happen. Or maybe it's just reaching out and saying, I'm going to help us grow. So I'm going to bring a couple other advisors to that meeting and encourage them to join NAFA because it's the right thing to do. And then it's once you do that, it's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I really enjoyed it. I like to do a little more. And I like to be considered for our committee chairmanship or serving on our local board or on our state board. And typically the people that raise their hand and say they want to help and then actually roll up their sleeves and do some work are the ones that are tapped with leadership opportunities. So I'd say if you want to do it, just step up and say, hey, I'm here to help, but I want to roll up my sleeves and get engaged.
So Kevin, let's go from 10,000 feet down to 5.
Okay.
I wanted to start today, right? I'm out there, I'm listening to you. I'm motivated. I'm super excited, but I see that, it's an uphill battle because as we've talked, and everybody knows, our industry is an aging industry. So I'm a young advisor, and I'm looking at the leadership and I'm like, you know what? I think I have to be 65 years old with gray hair to do this thing. So what can I do today from a leadership perspective to show that I am a person that could potentially be a leader? What can I do today from your perspective? and it would actually be very helpful from a NAFA organization or from just a local or a state.
So again, get involved. Go to the meetings. Raise your hand and say, hey, I'd like to organize something or be of service in some way. Network with people. When you go to the meetings, don't just sit at the table and be quiet. Go out and shake some hands. Mm-hmm. And, introduce yourself and say, hi, I'm Chris Gandy, and I'm new to NAFA, and, I'm glad to be here. And let me tell you about what I do in my practice, et cetera. Ask them what they do. Exchange cards if you still do those anymore. And, or information on your cell phones, just swap phones and stay in contact with those folks. We've got a great program in NAFA called Lilly, Leadership and Life Institute. What a great way to get involved and learn. But on top of that, there's a small group in each Lilly class that winds up being deeply connected friends, almost like a study group. And they continue that friendship beyond their Lilly experience. So that's a great way to get involved locally. So I live in Orlando. I'm up in our DC office a week or two a month. But when I'm down here in Orlando, I'll go to a Central Florida meeting. And I do the same thing and I meet people. But what I've been impressed with is we've got a large number of young advisors that are out here in this area that have really raised their hand and done that same thing. They started organizing once a month pop-up socials at different locations. And people just go and they grab a beverage and they hang out for a bit, but they get to know each other as people. And I think that that's really helped those younger advisors get more involved and become officers in the local chapter.
Kevin, that's a great idea. Kevin just mentioned a pop-up social. That's something that can be done with a little bit of intent and actions behind it. It's something that's spontaneous, right? It's something that's definitely shows signs of leadership. And Kevin, we didn't mention is to bring someone who's not a member, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's always on the back of my mind. I will say that every time I go to a NAFA event, I take someone who is not a member. And the reason why is because we can't survive, we can't grow without new blood, new leadership, new membership. So those are things that are just awesome. Those great ideas, keep circulating those. Let's shift gears for a second. Let's talk about, there's something coming up about leadership or the NLC, or it's not the NFC or the AFC. Some people might get it confused with football because football's right around the corner, right? And it's here, right? And those big football people, but this is the NLC. Can you talk about what that stands for and where it's at and what happens there? What is the NLC?
Sure. The NLC is our National Leadership Conference, and it's an opportunity for all NAFA leaders at all levels to get together. And we're going to gather in Washington, D.C., November 13th through the 15th. And we're going to have training opportunities to teach all of our folks, again, about the key activities that are going on in NAFA, but more importantly, what they can do in their leadership role to help move the needle in 2023. And so we're going to talk again about membership growth, improving the member experience, and being able to have more impact on the advocacy front. And we're going to plan out that work for 2023. And so it's in Washington, D.C. at the Omni Shoreham Hotel, November 13th to the 15th, and all NAFA leaders are invited. And when we get done with that day of training, we're going to have a celebration that night to celebrate all the great successes that we had as an association in 2022. We're going to recognize some key award winners, including our diversity champion, our Yacht Leader of the Year, our Terry Headley Award winner, which is for excellence in advocacy, and the John Newton Russell Memorial Award winner, which is the top award in the entire profession for someone who's given a lifetime of service to this industry and to this profession. And so we're going to do all that. And then the next day, we're going to roll up our sleeves and do what NAFA members do all the time, and that is go to Capitol Hill and meet with our policymakers about key things like the Secure 2.0 Act and other things, and encourage them to vote and to do good things that can help advisors better help every American out there have more financial security. And so November 13th through the 15th in DC, every NAFA volunteer is welcome. We'd love to see you there. So go to the NAFA website, and there's information you can register online.
Yeah, and since you bring that up, just a reminder to everyone, the nomination process and the timeframe for these awards is still open. It's not too late. September 30th for most of them. So another one that our advisor today, our own magazine's brand, has 4 under 40 awards. And you can win that a lot of times at the chapter level, but also at the national level. So if that was, and many of our Yacht Leaders of the Year, which is a young advisor who's been voted by their peers to be the best of the best, many of them came up through the ranks of being a national 4 under 40 winner. And so, if you're thinking about your own business and like, would it help you to be in front of our 55,000 subscribers to Advisor Today? Well, maybe that would be something that piques your interest. And you say, yeah, I can see how I could leverage that. And I can then tell my clientele and prospective clients, here's what I do. I believe in my profession, and I'm part of my my professional association, and I've been chosen as one of the top people in the United States. So, just a couple of things to think about that might be of interest to anybody out there.
So so most people don't, I know from our perspective, they don't get a chance to actually hang out at the NAFA headquarters. But I know, Kevin, you're super excited. Can you talk a little bit about how you and Suzanne, our wonderful co-host, how the two of you work together to help make NAFA better for its constituents like ourselves?
Yeah, sure. So we're blessed at NAFA to have a team of highly dedicated, awesomely trained, in the trenches type staff people that work in a variety of roles. We've got Suzanne and her amazing team. Suzanne heads up our marketing and communications function in the office. We've got people that work with our chapters and our members directly on making sure they have a quality member experience and their chapter has the right support that they need, again, to deliver value at the state or local level. We have an incredibly talented government relations team that's headed by Diane Boyle that does work on our behalf, not only in the United States Capitol and with our federal agencies in Washington, D.C., but also with the NAIC and NCOIL. That's the National Association of Insurance Commissioners and the National Conference of Insurance Legislators. We have people that work with all 50 of our state chapters around the country that, again, help things like when we talked about that best interest annuity standard, getting that put into public policy, whether statutorily or through regulation in states all across this country. And then we've got just a gifted team in our finance department and our IT staff and our HR team and just in a professional development department that help put on great programs for NAFA. So we're blessed. We've got talent located all around the country. We don't require our staff to be located in the DC area, although all of our government relations people, the federal ones are. But we've got great staff and great staff in the state of Ohio and in Iowa and in Florida and in Tennessee and in the Dakotas and just all over the place. So we've got great people out there in the field. Well, Kevin, and I'm honored to work with Suzanne and her incredible team.
As am I. I get a chance to spend time with Suzanne on numerous fronts. Both on our marketing side and also working with her to communicate. You mentioned alignment and opportunity is helping her align and then do this wonderful thought-provoking podcast. And so it's fantastic. Kevin, we know you're busy. We don't want to take all of your time, but I want to ask you a question. Mm-hmm. If you could go back when you were young, when you were a younger kid, little Kevin, could you see yourself doing what you do today? It's always interesting to kind of go back because I thought I was going to be a pilot, but then they told me I was too tall and they said, hey, listen, Chris, you can't even fit in the pilot seat. No jets for you, buddy. You're 6'1" and under only. So now I know that I can't do that, but do you go back and you think, did you see yourself always in this kind of, big time role of kind of leading and being a part of something big like this?
So when I was 6 years old, I was sitting in my backyard on my swing set and I looked up at the sky and I said, later I want to be the CEO of NAFA. And it just kind of happened. I've always loved leadership roles and doing what I can as an individual to help make things better for people. I initially thought I would do that. I'm an attorney by trade. And I initially thought I would do that through the practice of law and then getting involved in state and then maybe federal elected politics. And that wasn't the career path for me because as I practiced law for a year, candidly, I found out that it bored me. And I just was like, I got to do something else because I'm more than just help people with whatever this issue is. I want to use more parts of my brain. So I got involved in association management. And then with that, I've been able to work with some great groups that have done some great things over time. But with NAFA specifically, I get to work with amazing advisors from all across this country and a very talented, dedicated staff team that really does their best to make a difference in the public policy arena. So I get to check that box, but also in helping more people have better lives. And so it brings a lot of fulfillment to life. So, I didn't wind up being an astronaut or president of the United States, but I have met presidents, which is pretty cool. And I get to watch rockets go off as well. So.
Well, I think other fun Kevin facts is, Kevin, you became an Eagle Scout at what, 14? Is that right? Were you 14?
Yes, I
so you've done this for a long time. Yeah.
I earned it right before my 14th birthday because that was my goal. And then, after that was able to do some more great stuff. Get involved with my university and make a difference there too. So it's been a good life.
So Kevin, we're going to let you go. Here's what we always do at the very end, which is called the lightning round. Okay. I'm going to ask you a question really quickly. So you're a little bit on the hot seat. All right. I'm going to ask you a question. You just give me an answer. First thing that comes to mind. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. Got it. You mentioned you like to travel. Your favorite place you've gone?
Prague.
Okay. You mentioned your animal's name is Maximus. Where did that name come from?
I think that's ironic to have a little dog and give him a big name.
The oxymoron. Got it. And then Kevin, if you could go back and become a superhero, what would you become?
Oh, no doubt at all. Iron Man. Absolutely Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Big fan, a guy that was highly successful, but used his intellect to be able to build himself a suit and do great things. And Iron Man didn't have superpowers. He was just creative and was able to use the resources around him to become a superhero. And then eventually, with a snap of a finger, save the world and bring back half of the universe.
All right, Mr. Kevin Mayeux, thank you for your service. Thank you for all you do. We couldn't operate. We could not do what we do without you. Thank you for serving. Thank you for just being a wonderful leader. And it's always great to be a part of your team, an extension of your team. And hopefully, as we continue to work together, everybody out there in NAFA land gets to know you. And when you see Kevin, go up. He's very approachable. Go up, shake his hand, meet him, and hopefully, as we see each other at the NLC, everybody we get to go celebrate and uplift each other. With that being said, I'll close it out. Suzanne, do you have anything else before we exit?
I'm always famous for having one last thing. So I did think of one last thing that I wanted to ask both of you, because both of you are still and which is so amazing and inspirational. Both of you are still heavily involved in your universities. So that's another kind of whole association that both of you take seriously in your alumni capacity. But it occurred to me, Kevin was also like student body president of University of Florida, went to he's like a professional gator, right? And Chris, you're like a professional Illini. So it's got me thinking, how many jerseys, sweatshirts, pieces of clothing do the two of you have for your respective universities? Have you kept these things all these years?
I'll let Kevin answer that.
I have an entire closet here in my office full of jerseys.
And you have just not only Gator jersey, you've got all your others, but Chris, what about you? Did you keep all your jerseys too?
I, by default, my mother has confiscated 90% of my jerseys and my son has taken another 20%. So at this particular point, I still wear the ones. It's funny. People make fun of me because I show up with the Illinois stuff with holes in it and everything else just because it's nostalgic. Right. Yeah. But yes, of course, you keep those things. They'll be part of your life for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So I'll just wrap with that, because that's another great way to say, like, hey, are you going to be great at your professional association and your industry? You probably loved your university, right? And you're still a big fan and you support it. So if you haven't supported your university, that's another whole association too. Plug all of universities. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So thanks, Suzanne. Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to close this out with a final thought, is that you heard Kevin mention from the very top about leverage, your ability to be able to leverage an organization. We talk about, we want to be able to advocate, differentiate, and the opportunity for us to come together and align and uplift and empower each other for the betterment of today and tomorrow. Thank you for attending today's Advisor podcast. We love all of you at NAFA, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us for NAFA's Advisor Today podcast series. Make sure to subscribe to get future episodes. And if you're interested in coming on the show, let us know.